The Gremlins are getting to you early this morning on a Degenerate Friday, Lubie. Thank you for tuning in, Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubitz. It is a Degenerate Friday here on South Florida Live and the Defo Show with Mike Lubitz. Here, at least you get some kind of credit for being on the program, and it's good to have you guys with us because many things transpiring, and it's interesting. I mean, the vagaries that are out there in the sporting world right now and what might happen. Isn't that the best part of any kind of sports talk show? They're just aimless and pointless speculation as to what might transpire later on down the road. The draft, things like that. You love it. Who's going to be the eventual? I mean, people are already, talking about, hey, what do you think is going to win a Super Bowl next year? How the hell do I know? We haven't seen a game yet. Pretty tough to make any kind of a judgment. Anyway, good morning. And that's what it's all about, being a degenerate. I mentioned earlier on our Defo on 5 Reasons Sports Network that you also could call this show Dead Man Walking, because I dove in with both feet, both fists, to my first golf bet of the season. And, I've been watching a little bit of golf. I don't know that I've, really zoned in on all of the subtle nuances of what's going to happen in the game, and in terms of being able to accurately predict who the hell can get by 17 at the TPC without dumping a few in the water. But the problem was I didn't even get out of the first hole yesterday. I got 7 guys lined up, one of which is Rory McIlroy, who's been on fire. And is on a mission from God, this guy. I mean, he is trying to prove that all of those, sellout mofos that went to the Live Tour are worthless scum, and that the only place to practice your trade is on the PGA Tour, which now is making many rules and rule changes that are extremely favorable to what? The top guys in the game. That's right. They're getting every possible break. You don't want any cuts? No cuts. You want us to pay for your travel? No problem. These guys really owe Greg Norman a debt of gratitude, do they not? Even if he is taking blood money. And, when you bring up the Khashoggi murder, I don't know that Greg doesn't just immediately turn the conversation to, hey, did you see the field for the next event there in Mexico? Yeah, the Mazatlan Open. That's where we're playing.
Mazatlan Open.
No, where are they? I mean, where is this Live Tour?
I don't know.
They're on TV on some obscure channel that nobody watches. Cooking show outdid them in the ratings. And Norman, you have to love it. He should work for Fox TV, right? Still puts a favorable spin on the thing. Well, it's more people than watched it last year. Okay, Greg, you got 8 people tuned in on the CW. And they're the people that their TV is stuck on that channel. Otherwise, I mean, how many reruns of Hogan's Heroes can you watch? What else is on there? Nothing. Cartoons.
I haven't watched CW. When I was younger, they had shows like Dawson's Creek and stuff like that. Like it was for like teenage, I guess, girl. I don't want to be sexist, so teenage people. I don't remember sports. Like I guess they do local college basketball.
Golf's, I mean, a reasonable draw, I guess, but I mean, it's never going to do monster numbers, is it? Unless you're talking about the Masters and Tigers in front. Yeah, which Tiger very much splashed all over the news, and I love when they dig up the ex-babes. They got a big picture here of she's quite the babe, I would have to say. I don't know if she looked that good on the Armin Katayan documentary on Tiger Woods.
Yeah, because
Rachel Yucatel.
Oh, Yucatel's good looking, because the one he's with now is she doesn't look like the Tiger standard.
Is not the spectacular babe that you normally associate with a tennis player or a golfer as their girlfriend, right? Because even the ugliest guys get like incredible babes.
I was at a Federer. Federer married, like, I guess I don't know what they call it over there, but a woman he's been with before he was Federer.
She was a professional player though too. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I mean, whatever. I'm not trying.
But she's not the voluptuous babe that like is going to dominate TikTok. As soon as she posts up a picture of her lips. Yeah. But I mean, what's nice about that though is beauty comes from within, Lubie. Can't you see that? What is wrong with you? You're such a sick degenerate.
I'm not being vain. I'm not trying to be, surface or anything like that. I'm just being honest. Like you
don't hear about any infidelities on the part of Federer. You don't see Federer being pictured, grabbing some woman's ass on a yacht with DiCaprio. I mean, it's not in his nature. He seems very happy with Mirka, who was not a top female tennis player, but was, somewhat significant, I guess, back in the day. And what they have, do they have 2 sets of twins? Is that possible?
Oh, I don't know.
The Federers? I'm not sure, man. That's a lot of kids to handle if that happened. The Lubie, I don't know. How would you feel about having twins if the first
I'm
go
scared.
round, is a doubleheader?
I'm scared to death because it's funny you bring it up. Sure, it runs deep and Shirley both, like her grandfather and grandmother, the married, have multiple siblings and each have twins as siblings.
Oh,
And
wow.
none of their kids had twins. And it's supposedly known to skip generations. So I was with her cousins last week and we've talked with her sister. And I said, we're fucked because someone's going to have twins and all of us may have twins. And I'm scared of death. Like from the woman's standpoint, I
Oh,
guess
yeah. It's
pretty
Ernie
much
Banks.
that. But two
Yeah.
babies at the same time? Oh, my God.
It's Let's Play 2, I mean, it would be impossible. Two kids, even years apart, are a bit of a handful.
Exactly.
I greatly admire my son Jesse for being able to handle the two kids that he has, who are fine. I mean, they're both very well mannered, well behaved, but they're kids, two boys, and stuff's going to happen. So I don't know how he does it, man. The patience that this kid has exhibited. So, Lubie, I wish you luck. I hope that DNA. Let's hope the bloodlines don't necessarily carry through all the way true to form. That somehow, out of some situation that it would seem impossible to the blue bloods in Kentucky, you end up with one kid and turns out to be healthy and extremely wise. Anyway, that aside, it's a Degenerate Friday. You're going to need money to support these kids. We're going to. I don't know that we're going to attempt. I guess the professor. This is his time to shine, is it not? The professor. Who'll be joining us later on, really is, I mean, an astute college basketball guy. And, he's not just one of these guys that's picking games in the paper and he doesn't care if he goes 17-31 because he puts his own money up and usually in substantial sums by most people's betting standards, right? I mean, his guy has to laugh when I'll call in a bet through the professor and say, hey, can you put $50 on that?
Yeah, he does.
You with your 10 spots.
Yeah, he probably incorporates our bets into his.
Imagine, I knew a few Spanish swear words, but if this thing is going down somewhere in South America, where they're actually booking the action, I don't know. He's on like an online site, is he not?
I think Bovado. I mean, one of the sites that a lot of people are on. It's not like.
Oh, okay. And aren't people a little bit concerned about maybe that Bankman-Fried somehow had something to do with these betting sites? I don't know. When we start recommending FanDuel on a regular basis here on the show, courtesy of Andy, we naturally will drop some of this shtick and, inform you that there is only one reputable place to bet, whichever one we're recommending. Dead Man Walking, though, is where I was yesterday. The golf was hideous. Rory McIlroy double bogey on the first hole. I picked him. Lubie, you told me it was too late to change. Once the bet's in, it's in. There's no going back to the window and saying, well, I said the two. And the deaf and blind parimutuel clerk looks in and he goes, what? What track? You're like, oh, there they go. Look at that. They just popped the gate there. And, I'm stuck with a $180 ticket I don't want. The perils of gambling. I mean, and the pitfalls are many. That's for sure. Tiger gambling his money on these women not being able to say a word. Yucatel is implying in this article that this non-disclosure agreement that his current ex is fighting, impossible to beat. Now, and I, you were wondering why does she feel entitled to $30 million? Apparently, I guess Tiger writes a check along with those non-disclosure agreements, which would make it far more favorable to sign one if you were a girl and or a woman and you were sitting across the dinner table from Tiger and he's trying to pretend to be romantic and he's holding your hand and he's pouring your glass of wine and he's telling you how lovely you are and how you're the only woman that he's ever desired in his lifetime. And as he whips across the table some legal document here, it also comes with a little paper clip and a check. And Yucatel said she got like $8 million to sign this thing. All right. But it was kind of after the fact when it was about to be exposed that Tiger, it was this lecherous pig that, made every man in the world jealous. Thinking, my God, I knew it. I knew it all along. And he was full of shit.
Yeah, that's what
and all of this sanctimonious stuff. I mean, they do a piece on 60 Minutes. He comes off as if he was the greatest human being that ever walked the face of the planet. Right? Who was that? Ed Bradley did that piece. Bradley, a trustworthy journalist, is portraying Tiger Woods as a saint. We all know about the stuff that happened with our man who went Rinaldi, who went to Fox. What was that? Talk about a blowjob. I mean, those interviews. That would be the common terminology in a business. Hey, did you enjoy doing that blowjob interview you did for us?
Yes.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did, because I was getting paid handsomely by the network at the time. I guess it's too late to hide the truth. Is it not, Libby? No. I mean, it happens, right? You're going to have certain times where, look. I mean, is Tom Rinaldi on network television going to come up to Tiger and say, "Hey, Tiger? I mean, that these rumors about juice. What is it with you and this doctor from Canada?" And there he is running out the back door like in an O.J. Simpson outfit, like a black stocking cap and a mask and all dark clothing. What was the guy's name? Started with a G.
Was it Galea? Is Galea?
Galea, Dr. Galea. Yeah, that was it. Good call there, Libby. I was blanking on that. I'm thinking, what was that guy's name? Dr. Galea, right? I mean, was Rinaldi going to come up to Tiger after he shot a 74 and there's no reason to interview him after the round except that he's Tiger Woods and saying, hey, I mean, did you really have to bang the girl in the van, Tiger? You couldn't take her to a fancy schmancy hotel? I guess there's a certain element of excitement in that, right, Libby? You experienced that before you were happily married to the lovely Shirley that time with the station wagon in the driveway of the Ocean Manor Hotel.
I did a few different.
That car was shaking, Libby. You got some mojo, kid. Everybody, all the other guys that were on the scene there at the time, we were all standing around and going, look at this Lubie. He's rocking this car, man. You came out all schwitzy,
at a station wagon.
Smelling of sex, my friend.
The rest of it's true.
Smelling of sex.
What do you want? We had fun times and more fun to come of a different variety.
I'm falling apart only because, I mean, what a stupid pick. You can't be any dumber than this was.
I just love you. Had
Stupid me. I mean, I feel terrible about this, people. I really do. Rory McIlroy over Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm.
Your Kim guy doing all right.
See, I forgot to factor in the most likely to choke under the circumstances. They were all paired together, Lubie. They played together, and they're going to play together again as a trio. Now, I mean, what shot at redemption do I have? The leader is like -9 or something like that. But I'm hopelessly out of it because of that fat slob Lowry, right? Shane Lowry. What? I mean, +5? Are you kidding me? Have another donut, Kowarski. Another fat guy in sports that I root for, Lowry. He's got this jelly belly like the rest of us do. And, you're thinking, come on, man. Every other golfer looks the same, like he came out of the exact same mold, except for like a couple of guys that are on a juice, like Koepka. You know what? I think they probably give away steroids on the Live Tour. Do they not? Like whatever it takes to get you to look like you can play this game. What do you think?
I don't think the Live Tour gives a shit about drug use.
You think there's drug testing on the Live Tour?
No. You kidding me?
Not with Koepka out there, and who else? I mean, Tiger had to be on the juice. No, I mean the way that his body broke down like that. Never mind the car crashes. He survived the car crashes. But he couldn't survive the the motion that he had to go through with all of this steroid injection. I guess. Listen to me.
You're like a doctor.
I decided non-disclosure. Give me $8 million, Tiger. I won't say another word about you the rest of the time I'm on here. I had become a Tiger Woods fan. This latest episode is, bringing and resurrecting a lot of negative feelings about El Tigre. All right, a couple of things here before we go. The Greek's going to join us, and the professor has a big board for us and some, I would imagine, some very heavy-duty college basketball insight that we can share with you. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, later on. Revolution was on. Thank you, Andy, for coming out. It was a little disappointing, the turnout.
It was the crowd we wanted. But
yeah, I was hoping to fill that joint, man. I mean, even Joe, the owner, looked at Mayo and me and said, and you too, Lubie, and said, I thought you guys had a following here.
He actually was very...
They're not following us over to Davey, that's for sure.
It was very cordial and generous. And
wow, the food was great, wasn't it? I really thought it was outstanding. Maybe, it was a couple of wines I had and a gummy bear, but I thought the food was great, didn't you?
I thought it was amazing, and I thought they took really good care of us, and I think the establishment itself is... really cool for an Italian place. It has an upscale vibe, but regular prices, and the portions are like when you go to a mom and pop place. It's something that you don't really see a lot. Like down here.
Oh my God, it was great and well presented. I mean, for a place that was labeled by, and the story is this for the unfamiliar. Jeff Weinseer is a local reporter here, Channel 10, and he does a thing called Dirty Dining, and it's one of those Mike Wallace things where he comes in with cameras unannounced, and all of a sudden he says, "Hey, you got roaches, right? You got fleas." Unbelievable, So, and he gets this off state inspection reports, where state inspectors in Florida come into restaurants. I would imagine they have this similar activity in every state, and if you're not totally in compliance with whatever their standards are, maybe they see some roach droppings or something, rat, shit is laying on the floor. But there's different levels of severity of that. But nonetheless, they force you to close down for a day, clean everything up. They come back, and then they give you the thumbs up, so you're in compliance. So in reality, it's not a big deal unless this was a sustained activity. And when you walked into the place, you felt like you were pretty much immersed in schmutz, filth, right? Would you ever have gotten that impression from walking in to Esposito's, Lubie?
No. Look, and I get it that you can hide things, and I get. Look, Joe himself has been very honest about the whole thing and owned the whole thing, but that's not a place that if I go. That's what's weird to me. And we talked to him.
I would never think they had a problem in the kitchen. There.
Well, my problem is this: like he said, he actually was very appreciative for what we've done, and we're going to keep talking about it. I hope we go back and keep trying to drum up business because they've been hit really hard. But
wow.
He said they're getting a lot of new business, and he's attributing that to us. But what
I can't see the way that place was though, Lubie. I can't see where the regulars wouldn't have just said, "Hey, Weinseer, you're an asshole."
That's my problem. If you've been going, look, we are when you find it your own. Ken and I were talking about this. Chinese and Italian. Everyone has their local Italian place, and that's where you go. Yeah, you'll try other places, but when you want chicken parm, you want pizza.
Right.
That's your go-to. Chinese, same thing. If I'm going to a place for 10 friggin' years and they do this fucking segment, that's not stopping me.
No, I would never stop. I would go even more.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like that's weird to me. Like I don't understand.
That is a strange one. Yeah. He said, it's well, I mean, he did say it was a certain, type of person that lives out in that area there that maybe would take exception with this and side with Weinstein. The problem being that, I mean, you have to look at the overall body of work. Just like we talk about this in sports all the time, right?
All the time.
Ralph Branca, had a decent career. What is he known for? Giving up the shot heard around the world. Yep. Jackie Smith, outstanding, man. What is he known for? I still see the image of him lying in the end zone there with Staubach with his hands on his head, saying, "Excuse me, I can't believe you didn't catch that ball, Jackie. You've caught everything else in your lifetime." And all of a sudden, it looks like he can't catch a cold. That's how he's known. And then, what? Buckner, right? Buckner was an excellent player.
100%. That's
solid. I mean, by certain standards, he could have been a borderline Hall of Famer the way they're allowing some people into the Baseball Hall of Fame now that, it didn't exactly overwhelm you with their 286 batting average. But today, I mean, look, the guys that hit 286 today, which is what, 2 for 7? You're going 2 for 7 on a regular basis. 2 for 7. You're making 5 outs. You're getting 2 base hits. Which would be, I mean, today like a $50 million player, even if he didn't have big power. Well, he would also have to have some power, but that's going to be like a phenomenal average 20 years from now, don't you think? Like when they stand up there in Cooperstown, they're going to be going, and he hit 286 lifetime. And you're like, what? Who is this guy? Fucking Clete Boyer? I mean, give me a break. They batted this guy last, or as far down the order as they could, before the pitcher. With that kind of hitting prowess. But, I mean, it's... Well,
no, look, they not only got him at his worst, he not only went full New York, Long Island, Italian, they then, from the way Mayo talked about it, the segment itself, which I don't even know if anyone watched the fucking segment.
I didn't see it. I mean, I've seen similar segments, and usually you're looking at a place that looks like kind of a dump, all right?
Yep. Well, and they'll show... They'll zoom in on the violation and highlight 15 roaches, 12 things. And then they'll do the thing where they show pictures of video of roaches crawling around, which isn't even at their place because obviously there's no.
That's their B-roll tape, as they call it. Yeah,
they'll do it all together, and I'll go, oh my God, how can I go there? but it's like this isn't that place.
No. Far from it. I mean, that's a shame. See, and we talked about it, and we have been talking about it. And so as the story goes, that Weinstein does his report, dirty dining. The guy had one violation in 20 years.
20
He was
years.
immediately back in compliance. The place is immaculate. He's a clean freak.
Yep.
But his business has dropped off 40% ever since this report came out.
That's bad.
And, yesterday, I would have to say, I mean, you would have thought that place would be a very popular lunch spot, no?
Yep.
With the great pizzas they had, you call ahead, you go ahead, the thing's ready when you get there, you sit down, you eat it. Fantastic. And it couldn't have been any tastier. I mean, it really, really was, kind of unique. All of the different dishes that we sampled there, I mean, could you get better Italian food in certain places? Maybe, but everything we had was great.
Yep.
It was absolutely great. There would be no reason for that place not to be full at lunchtime, and it was dead empty.
Yeah.
If Andy didn't show up and one other guy who only stopped in to pick up something, they would have had no customers in the hour we were there, 12 to 1. That's a shame.
And he said they were busy as hell during lunch before because they're in an area of Davie that's super, a lot of stores, a lot of residential area.
No, busy area there. Why? I mean, look, you're at an intersection of 595 and University.
Like
the gateway to the west right there, Lubie. If I'm getting on 595, I hope I'm heading east at that point. I mean, what's out west there? The Everglades, alligators, all kinds of crazy stuff. But no, it was a shame. And essentially, this Weinstein report kind of ruined this guy's business. And it was so undeserved. And now Weinstein has to know, the reporter, that there's an element of sensationalism to busting into a guy's place and saying, aha, you've got roaches, you've got rats, you've got everything. Iguana shit is all over the tabletops. I mean, how can anybody eat here? And it couldn't have been any further from the truth. So does the guy not have a little bit of a responsibility to say, hey, I know if I do this, it's going to be far more harmful than this isn't some repeat offender that constantly is getting busted by the inspectors. This is an honorable businessman who's doing a great job. And, I'm just not going to do it, right? But he needed a story that day. And the element of sensationalism, I guess, was a lasting, indelible impression that people now have about Esposito's, that it's a cesspool.
It's because the food is really good. It
was great.
The service was great. The people there really care. They had the staff. Look, I know the Theo who was there, who was one of their managers, and someone who's been with them for years who now has moved on, a dear friend of mine, loved that place. Like literally, even when they had moved on to other jobs, unlike us who ran once iHeart and we lost touch, no interest in ever going back. Right. Even when they moved on to bigger and better things, careers, they still will pick up shifts there because they love the family. Joe and his family do a great job at taking care of their customers and their employees. Plus, on top of that, the portions are great. The prices are it's all you would want in an Italian place. Like I honestly don't live anywhere near there, but I could see myself going back there from time to time.
You know what? I would, consider going out of my way, even though I have like a zillion Italian restaurants, many of which I'm anxious to try right here in this neighborhood where I'm at, Lauderdale by the Sea, and points north and south. I would consider going there, as a place that I really wanted to have one of their meals. They were fantastic. So anyway, that was unfortunate, but it shows you sensationalism in journalism can be used in a very misguided fashion. And we had Weinstein on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox show, so he stood up and answered whatever questions we had. But the truth was, it seemed like he really was indifferent to the idea that he buried this guy.
Yeah.
So I wish we had the cutout. I mean, it probably would have been, in poor taste to, have thrown a bunch of meatballs at a Weinstein cutout. I should have had Marty the Party Sachs design one for me, and could have had some fun with that. All right, we're coming back with more. The Greek's going to join us. The professor, Mike Mayo, is also going to join us. And later on in the program here, I'm sure we can touch on this thing again because we really, it's not like, the guy doesn't deserve to be in a position where he needs somebody to help him.
No.
With his business, because the business was terrific, and I would imagine it will persist in being so. He has big plans for the place, also expansion, and it was already like a sharp looking joint. So I don't get. I don't see how a reporter could go in there and based on one violation in 20 years in the business and not at least discuss it with the guy first. and say, "Hey, I'm here to do this report," but instead just busting in there as if he was Geraldo with Nick Navarro, and they were busting some lady for having a poker game in the basement of her house. All right, coming back with more in a moment. Now that
The time.
it's a disgrace, Louis, a disgrace. It's 7:30. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
I like when the guys on the CBS pregame show, like Boomer and all of the crew there, they're picking games without the point spread. And then they're unanimously, on the side of the favorite.
Picking games without a point spread is like telling somebody that you banged the girl last night and she was a hooker. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Got home last night, yeah.
We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. A Degenerate Friday about to get underway there. A restaurant rant there was just inspired by the fact that as I, was looking around at the scenario and what was happening and talking to this guy that owned the place, you had to feel compassion for the idea that, this was some schmuck move by Jeff Weintz here, the Channel 10 reporter who buried this guy and completely unjustifiable. I meant to get to a couple of things. We on the Greek with us. Greek, how are you, my friend?
I'm awesome, baby. It's the madness. What's happening? Conference Tourneys had a great day yesterday, kicking ass. I got a great dating story for you and Lubie and your audience.
Okay, we're ready.
Oh, beauty. Let's get right to it then, because dating is very much in the news here with this whole new Tiger Woods situation.
Oh, God, what a light show that is. Hey, I'll take you to the airport, but I'm kicking you out. Tiger never looks good. It doesn't matter with his image, but he always looks like, he grew up in Secaucus, New Jersey. Like, what is he thinking?
He's a bit of a hard ass when it comes to the end of the relationship. I mean, I've done some things I'm not particularly proud of. And, we've discussed some of these elements on the show. It's not particularly flattering to me as a person. And I would imagine, too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, had you experienced a lot of breakups before, this latest episode with the marriage, Greek? I mean, do you have any element of Tiger Woods in you in that regard?
Never. That's why I'm friends with all my ex-girlfriends. I mean, I never treated anybody bad and treated them, whatever. But I don't believe in that. I think it was a classless move. And, I don't think it was cool. The girl was with him 6 years. That's a long time. Again, we only know it's reported. She's not going to win anything in that case. Like, she's suing him for $30 million.
Yeah.
She ain't going to win anything for that. She was his, manager at a restaurant, whatever. But you know, you just hate when you see that because he could strong arm her, obviously, and he's got his crew. And I mean, I think it's decency to at least say, hey, you know what? I don't want to go out anymore, yada, yada. And he's got millions. Here, I'm going to set you up and, you know, buy you a house or do something. And it doesn't come good. I mean, some of the things of his personality traits don't look good if what is being portrayed is true. If that's true. We don't know that.
It just sparked, and ignited the idea again that, the guy is a complete fraud. And I had bought into his new personality and persona and actually had become much more of a Tiger Woods fan. Now, I don't know what happened between him and this woman. It did come up that one of his former flames who sparked the whole thing with Elin Nordegren, when it was discovered that Tiger was banging this woman in Africa somewhere, Rachel Yucatel, and was shipping her around the world and, talking to her even while he's in bed with Elin. He's like, oh, listen, honey, she's asleep. Anyway, and she said and described a horrific post-Tiger experience, also being crushed like a grape for signing and having one of these non-disclosure agreements. But it sounded to me, Greek, and this, I don't know if this would be a move of yours, but the Tiger had slipped her a check for $8 million to sign the agreement. So it wasn't like he just said, I mean, I don't know. Did you have a prenup with your wife? Because that's always an ugly thing to present after you're telling her how much you love her. And you go, but I want you to sign this.
Yeah, I didn't have one. I should have. I didn't have one. But I mean, again, I think when you go in sometimes, thinking it's going to end, why the hell even go on?
Don't
you know what I mean? It's like you get on a plane and you're like, here's a parachute. For what? I'm sitting in first class. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
You got big money. You got big money, yes. I wasn't nowhere near that level, but his image doesn't look great. That's all. And I know he doesn't care and all that, and his sponsors stay with him. I mean, he's had a lot of problems off the field, but I think it's also you see more and more who he really is. And I think there's a way to do things when you break up, a good way and a bad way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think he cares. I also think the girl was like just a regular girl. She worked in his restaurant. She was a manager. I mean,
he seemed happy though. He did. I mean, he seemed like all of a sudden he had an epiphany and was, just enjoying life. I don't know if she had anything to do with it, but he was with her like 6 years. It wasn't like, one of these DiCaprio affairs. Yeah.
They were that long.
Yeah, but like a lot of people like him, they're happy till they're not, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't know what the hell he did on the side.
Yeah, he's Tiger.
Who knows? Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I said, for his image, it looks bad. But again, he don't care.
He doesn't need to care. He's got enough money not to care. And this woman will be shut down. Maybe I thought this number was, pulled out of the sky, kind of staggering. Like what made it worth $30 million, this breakup? But maybe that's what he promised her when she signed this agreement. I mean, that's possible.
Well, yeah. Well, she did. She also says that, he promised her 5 more years. So I don't know.
That's a good one, man. I mean, the Greek, you have to try these techniques when you're on these dates. What about this wild date? Did you tell her, hey, listen, you have 5 more weeks?
No. I was seeing this girl a little, not much, a couple dinners, we hung out, this and that.
Yeah.
So the other night, she said to me, she was, gee, what do you think? What are we doing? And I said, I think we're having dinner.
Always a good answer. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Did she get up and walk away at that point, or continue to plead her case?
No, she said to me, she said, I think I'm going to try it with my boyfriend again. I go, I didn't know you had a boyfriend.
Wow. That's sick. Yeah. No, I don't like that when that happens.
What is that?
Yeah. I wasn't that well invested in a friend of mine many years ago at one of the radio stations I was working at said, I got this girl. She's perfect for you. Right. So I was working at the track. I remember I was doing some shows at Hialeah Park at that time. So I agreed to meet her for lunch at a place in Coral Gables, fancy restaurant at the time. I can't remember the name of it. I wish I could because I'm sure Mike Mayo would have had a favorable opinion of it. But anyway, so we get along famously. We end up, in some kind of lip lock outside in the parking lot. I call her again, and she says, I think you're great, but I can't leave my boyfriend. I'm like, then what the hell were you doing out there in the first place? Letting your friends set you up? I mean, what kind of garbage is that?
Just wanted to
So it was a one-shot deal, which was good. But I mean, what kind of sugar thinking is that on the part of women?
Wait, you're gonna die. I met a girl about a year ago, right? It was raining really bad, so her umbrella falls off. I'm in downtown Boca, and I picked it up for her and I gave it to her. She goes, "Oh, that was so nice of you, yada yada, whatever." And I talked to her like 5 minutes, and she goes, "Oh, what do you do?" Got into it real quick. So then she said, "Oh, here's my card. I do some charity work." I said, "Okay, whatever." So then I meet her like a week later. She wanted to tell me about some event, and I meet her, and I kid you not, I met her at 4:00. I sat with her until 8, right?
Yeah.
So I said, "I gotta go. I gotta meet my friends." And she goes, "Oh, can I come?" And I said, "Well, I'm sort of meet my friends." I go, "Why don't we meet another night? And we'll get dinner." Because you spend 4 hours with somebody, that's a long time.
Yes,
Talking.
Look, 2 hours with Lubie, and I'm sick of him every morning. What are you talking about?
She looks at me straight in the face. She goes, "I can't go out with you." She goes, "I have a boyfriend I live with." I go, "What are you doing?"
Oh, Jesus, yeah, exactly. What the fuck?
You're really cute. Wanted to get to know you. I'm like, 4 hours. That's more than the Rose Bowl. Yesterday was a great day. FAU Owls, baby. Keep betting them. Blowout last night.
You and Sarney are on the same page. Yeah, Jim Sarney.
Oh, my God. You got to love them.
Yeah.
And I think today Duke smacks the Canes bad.
Yeah, Defo's worried
I'm a little worried about that. I'm very concerned about that. They're favored by 2.5. The Canes are the cardiac kids in reverse. You usually think of cardiac kids making these, dynamic comebacks in games, like the Panthers last year were cardiac kids. But these guys blow big leads late in games.
Yep.
Games, 17 up.
Yeah, up to 17 with 9 minutes left.
Ugh,
and you know what I didn't understand? I know it's his offense, but I was shocked that when they were up 17 with 9 minutes left, and I was watching, and I said something to a couple of my friends, he kept running, and I know that's their game, but they were killing no clock.
Yeah,
coming down, shooting threes, bang. Shooting threes, bang.
Yeah, we'll talk
when they go in, it's great. But when you give the ball back to the team, in 4 seconds, and then Wake Forest, they were hitting some shots from Dean Smith's house. With people on them. So, but I always like the conference tournaments a lot better than March Madness. I always did. I remember always doing well with them. And the key to this is to bet teams that are hot. And like Arizona State, they win again last night. They beat they beat USC. You got to look for teams that finish either good. I thought Rutgers yesterday over Michigan. Michigan had a terrible year. Carolina's playing Virginia yesterday, right? This is a good switch. If you follow this. 3 weeks ago they played. Same two teams, and Carolina's 8-point favorite. Now they're on a neutral court, and Virginia's giving them 3.5.
That's
3. I'm like, how is that possible? And Virginia,
they beat them pretty handsomely.
Yeah, they won.
They spanked them. Yeah,
spanked them pretty good. 1 by 8 or whatever. Yeah. And then what'd you think of Patrick Ewing getting fired?
I mean, it wasn't shocking.
He was having a horrible, last couple of years, basically. I mean, he hadn't won a game in like 2 seasons. But you know what? The speculation is, Greek, and I'm glad you brought this up because we had discussed this, and, our good friend Rick Pitino, I consider him a good friend because he's, been very, very gracious with us, and it just seems like a down-to-earth guy. And right here in my New York Post, I'm going to hold it up for our viewers out there. Mike Vaccaro saying maybe St. John's. But those 2 jobs would loom large. I don't know. Georgetown looks like it would be a very difficult turnaround. Does Pitino have time to deal with a team that had no wins this year? I mean, they might have won a handful of games. Whereas St. John's, is always being talked about as if they're sort of close to, maybe a good recruiter like Pitino away from really turning the corner.
Yeah, I can see St. John's.
I don't know. I think both of those. I mean, he's at Iona. I don't know if they're that much of a jump. Georgetown hasn't been good since Panas.
Bigger conference. You got St. John's, Big East Conference still?
Yeah.
And and that was one of his beefs with Iona, because he got knocked out of the conference tournament last year in the first round by St. Peter's. Went on to distinguish themselves pretty well in the NCAA tournament, being a Final Four team. And he doesn't like the one bid, thing. Like the conference is only going to get one team in the in the tournament. So, if you lose your conference tournament, even if you were dominant during the year, the likelihood of you getting into the NCAA tournament is slim to none.
I don't know. I see him going to a bigger program, but maybe. I mean, again, that's not much. It's a move up, but not a huge move.
No,
like I see him going to a Big Ten or something like that, SEC or Pac-12, where he really moves up. Maybe like I don't know, Ohio State, someplace like that. I don't know where he could go, but it's up to him. I think he's a great coach. Obviously, he had some issues, but I always thought he was good. I remember I had the pleasure of working with him with you. He's a great
Greek when he was
very
really,
humble. Yeah, I know a couple of my friends see him at the track all the time. He says he makes time for everybody.
Yeah.
And just a nice guy. So,
right.
How about that situation with Morant with the Memphis Grizzlies?
Oh, man, that's crazy. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in the NBA right now, but I don't, we thought of Morant as kind of a humble guy. He was, sort of an extrapolation there of what Kawhi Leonard was before he became, sort of famous for being aloof. But, he just seemed like a guy that did all the right things, said all the right things, was all about the team, very humble. And all of a sudden he's like a gun, waving maniac, which is crazy.
Yeah, and the NBA hasn't said anything. They said he's going to miss another 4 or 5 games. And I think the NBA is not doing anything because they keep telling him they're going to miss games.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My buddy on Monday, I don't know if it's going to happen, but he took my advice. He bet the Jets 35-1 to win the Super Bowl. And then when the Jets flew out to meet Rodgers, they dropped to 16-1.
Oh, wow. Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Fat price there. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but it's probably worth a shot at 35-1. All right, so we know you like Duke to shellac the Hurricanes, and you may not like it, but from a wagering standpoint, obviously this is a Degenerate Friday, and emotions and allegiance goes out the window, right? You don't want your money flying out the window.
FAU and Purdue over Rutgers.
FAU, wow, good for you.
FAU and Purdue sticking with the Owls. And going for
they're both 12:00 games.
Yep, FAU
Purdue
12:30 and 12 and Duke. All right,
that Zach Edey, he does have a little bit of a Frankenstein type of presence on the basketball court, doesn't he? I mean, just a mechanical monster out there with those hook shots and everything. I keep asking the professor if he's going to be a pro, but the pros don't want that kind of guy anymore, do they? Guy that's going to stand under the basket and shoot hook shots. I mean, holy Bill Russell. What are we looking at here?
That kid, football season's the mascot for Purdue.
It could be, yeah, he really could.
He just takes his hammer, he leaves it in gym, he comes outside. He's a little slow, too. I mean, that's the thing. He's not that fast, but I don't know. I always like these tournaments, and I tell my friends, like, everybody goes out March Madness. This is a great weekend to go to Vegas.
Yes.
Because it's not as crowded as March Madness. And it's just as much fun. The only thing with Vegas right now, they've had their worst winter in 30 years.
Really?
So
the desert, so it can get cold. Yeah,
it's been cold. A lot of storms, dust storms, rain. They got snow 2 weeks ago.
Oh, jeez.
I think that's appropriate, though. I mean, it should be very foul outside while you're in Vegas. Like the minute you step outside and get smacked by reality, you realize the world is not necessarily a great place to be. Yeah.
The casino with all the sands kicking up in your face.
Exactly.
And De Niro comes out to see you.
Yeah.
And then all that stuff. No, I like it nice. I always do. I've gone in July and August. It's been really hot. But April and May are beautiful months out there. Like 85, sunny.
Yeah, it's fine with me. I mean, 110 in the shade is nothing so pleasant, especially, back in the days when, I was with women that didn't gamble, like the Mustang. And so they weren't happy to be in the casino the entire day. And you would actually have to capitulate, Greek. I don't know if you've ever done this, but it shows you how possibly under the control of the woman you are when you actually agree to go sit out by the pool during the day.
I love the pool.
You do? Okay. Right. I could see you with a cigar and the hat on and the whole thing. Yeah, being the Greek.
No, I love the pool. I love it. Because you know what? Like you just said, you can't gamble all day and then at night.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
This is true. Yeah.
You'll go broke. I'm sorry. And even if you win, you give it back. We're there 3-4 days. So as I got a little bit older, I started to want to bring girls with me. When I went with my friends, that's all we did all day. We're sports books, playing roulette, pop.
Sure.
And you're gonna lose. I mean, you really are. How many times can you go out to dinner with your friends and hear the same stories?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
And pros.
Well, and the pool at Caesars, I will say, has been ratcheted up, exponentially also in terms of its appeal.
It's stunning. Caesars put another $100 million last year in it.
Jesus.
I mean,
it was beautiful. Yeah, we were out there for the birthday celebration about almost 2 years ago now, and the pool scene was great. And you could gamble at the pool because they had a swim up stool blackjack table where the $25 minimum was out there.
Yeah, and they brought that back. You remember this from the 60s.
Yeah.
Because all these people liked it. Like you pull up, the Wynn has that too, but not in the pool, but on the side.
This was in the pool.
Yeah, but their pool, I mean, oh my God. I said
the scene is great. Yeah, the scene is great.
Russell Crowe was sitting next to me, and he had his gladiator outfit on. You look at this great. This is great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll give you the bet of the weekend. Elvis to win movie of the year at 5-1.
Oh,
all right.
Actually,
we'll get into a little of that. Greek, we love you, man. You sound in great spirits, so that's always good to see and hear. And thanks so much, as always, for joining us. Best of luck with all of your plays on this fine Degenerate Friday. Thanks for being with us.
Always, bro. Miss you. I'll be at Gulfstream Park tomorrow. And
okay.
Meet up soon, Lubie, or you too, whatever you want.
Maybe this
the funky
weekend.
biscuit.
Yeah, maybe this weekend. My wife's out of town, so
that'd be awesome. Yeah, we'll all get together.
What?
She's out of town, so I'm alone this weekend.
So now call me because your wife's out of town.
Of
Screw
course.
you. I'm no second choice.
Yeah, what an asshole this Lubie is, huh?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Please don't tell me. We got to go to dinner, the three of us. I miss you guys.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll come your way up there to Boca and have one of those fine dining spots.
Have a good week.
You too, Greek.
You think the Greek still reaches for the check first, Lubie, or do we have to
probably, which isn't fair?
Do the old Ralph Cramden where we pretend to reach for the check and then hope that he doesn't let us pay, which is always a good move. Oh, I got this one, and then the guy says, "Oh, okay, thanks." You're like, "What? Oh my God." Our friend Evan, don't mention my name, picked up a check, a fat one, man. We were in Encinitas, and we had invited Todd Schrupp out to dinner, and there were three of us and Schrupp, and then he brought somebody else. And we thought that Schrupp was getting favorable consideration because he had recommended this place as his favorite place. This was the place where Bob Baffert and his wife Jill are leaving as we're coming in. Hard to get a table there, but Schruppy had some pull with the owner. But I don't know. The owner must have been playing Todd Schrupp's Pick Six tickets because there was no benefit whatsoever for being with Schrupp. And then Evan picks up the check, says, "I got this one." And then you know how the guy gets whacked. He picks up the check and goes, "Oh shit! You guys, who had the who had the Branzini there? I mean, you had to order that. It was a special, unannounced price, market price. Well, guess what? They weren't buying this fish on the black market. I can assure you." Right? They must have gone to, the most expensive place that they could possibly find to purchase this thing to charge you $97 for that. You got to be kidding me. So, yeah, that was a heavy one, man. So you don't want to get burned by that. And I have a little story, too, about getting burned by a tweet. And I'm not sure what this guy said, but I mean, like an immediate dismissal from a job that I would have to think that he was, very, very happy to hold. Sports. This is sports related, Libby. All right, the professor coming up. We'll come back with more. Hialeah Park. We talk about them all the time. Fantastic place. The professor was out there at the fights, so we can get into that a little bit when he joins us. And what a wonderful evening it was. Beautiful Hialeah Park, as we always say. Join the Players Club and the rewards program. It is fantastic there. Poker, ponies, casino action, whatever it is you want, partying. I mean, Latin rhythms with the DJ. I mean, that guy was phenomenal too. I like a good Latin DJ, don't you, Lubie?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's just something about it, man. You get a vibe going there, and you feel like, my God, I would just want to put a fruit basket on my head and dance the night away. It's going to be fantastic here. Absolutely a delightful time, and they always do a great job with all of their special events as well, catering and all kinds of stuff. Check them out on the website, hialeahpark.com. You're going to love everything that you find at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with the professor, some big board action, some basketball action on a Degenerate Friday here in South Florida Live, and we'll be back with more in a moment. How about
The time
And later on, we're out at the stream. Speaking of degeneracy, right? Joe Beja and the crew out there. Mayo will be holding court. It's going to be a lot of fun. The lunchbox. It's 7:54.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
Whoa, I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show at Degenerate Friday, and no better way to celebrate that than with one of our favorite degenerates, maybe the ultimate degenerate. We love this guy, the professor, joining us here on the program. And Professor, I would imagine this time of the year for you is kind of like, the people, the wine connoisseurs out there in Sonoma and Napa Valley, and they're harvesting the grapes, and then they're looking and they're going, my God, this is going to be one hell of a batch of wine. This would have to be, as the Greek expressed, maybe one of your favorite times as a college basketball handicapper.
Yeah, I mean, it is a great time of year. I always enjoy this time of year. March is always a blast. And,
this week, I would think you would have a big edge over a lot of people because of the level with which you follow this stuff.
Wrong. Yeah,
I mean, because you can sense some of these upsets, even if you're sort of, on the periphery.
I don't know that you ever have a big edge. Sometimes being the dummy in the pool really helps you.
Yeah.
That's the hope, but it doesn't always work out that way.
All right. Any teams that you've kind of jumped on that have, sort of carried you? I know, from week to week, you'll mention certain teams, but any of your personal favorites surfacing now and maybe making some noise?
I think if you've been following Gonzaga all year, they've gotten a real groove the last month or so, and I think it's interesting because I don't think they're coming in with the level of hype they have over the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
But probably coming in as hot as they've ever been to finish the West Coast Conference. And I would look at them in terms of a future. I don't know exactly what kind of number you're going to get on them, but, you look at the top echelon teams. They've been on a real roll offensively, so they would definitely be one I'd look at.
Yeah, I watched a little of their, last couple of games there in the tournament, the West Coast Conference, and they shellacked St. Mary's, which, St. Mary's looked like it was a team that might have been rolling a little bit towards maybe even an upset in that game, but there was no contest. Is Drew Timme an NBA player, in your opinion?
Probably not. I mean,
okay.
You look at him and you look at his game, and it's just the out of fashion post game that you just don't see carry rosters really anymore.
Yeah.
If you don't have that perimeter game to go with it, and you're not a rim protector, it does not spell well for your NBA future right at the moment. You have to have one of those two things, and neither's really a big, huge element in his game.
You know, we have a huge affection for Coach Larinaga, frequent guest on our programs, always very accommodating and very gracious with his time. Does he have a lot of time left in the ACC tournament? Because, and this has to be particularly painful for you, Professor, because as much as you love the Hurricanes, I think it's eclipsed only by, how much you despise Duke.
Well, why would that be painful? I'll be cheering hard for them today.
Okay, I mean, a lot of people are thinking that they get shellacked.
Split on that.
What do you think?
Who's thinking that? Who are a lot of people? I feel like you're just making that up.
It seems like the consensus, including the actual line. I mean, Duke favored by 2.5 in this ballgame.
Duke's more public than the University of Miami in basketball. That's a huge shock.
Perhaps I'm misreading the signs from the gods of Yale. So, what's your feeling about this game then?
I think Miami's got a very well balanced team. They're bigger inside than they have been in a number of years. And Duke's been largely disappointing this year. I mean, you look at the two games, Miami gave Duke all they wanted at Cameron and then came back and beat them at home. I don't see why on a neutral court Miami shouldn't have a chance. Although I will say, having watched a few games in the ACC tournament, the officiating has been very questionable thus far. As it usually is when you're playing a Carolina school in the ACC tournament.
In Greensboro, yeah.
Yes,
I mean, you would have to think that, and all of the refs are local. I guess I would imagine.
Probably. They live
Jay Billis, I think, was wearing a striped shirt.
Fortunately, it's Shire, not Ratface, and I don't think he carries the same kind of sway.
Yeah.
But I would not necessarily be looking for a friendly whistle if I were Jim Larinaga.
You don't feel like they came on, though, Duke? I mean, they were in sort of disarray early in the season. Nobody knew what to make of it.
I mean, came on compared to the stretch in the midseason where they were just flat out bad. Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're a young team. They're going to get better throughout the course of the year. Do I think they're a powerhouse or a team I'd be looking at to make a serious run during the tournament? No, I don't think they're at that level. Look, I think that one of the general tones this year, as everybody talks about like a wide open tournament, is that, the big boy programs are now so freshman dependent. And all in all, I would say this freshman class has been largely a disappointment.
Yeah.
The guys at the top are not playing like, surefire NBA guys next season. So I would say, that opens up for more veteran teams like the University of Miami and, a couple other places throughout the country.
All right. Do you have some Professor spot plays for tonight and or the immediate future?
Well, it sounds like I just picked against Duke. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I don't know if that was going to be one of your picks. We lured you into that.
I don't think anybody really knows fully what the Bill Self situation with Kansas is going to be this afternoon. But I would look for Kansas to sort of rally around the flag there. So -4.5 against an Iowa State team that's looked better the last couple of games, but was seriously flagging in the last couple of weeks of the season. Looks like a good spot to me. I think Kentucky has really rallied throughout the course of the year, and I'm not impressed with Vanderbilt. So even though 6.5 is kind of a big number for a conference tournament game, I would be inclined to like the Wildcats. I don't know what Lubie's laughing at. Perhaps the Kentucky pick.
I kidded. No, my cat just yelled at me.
Oh, yeah. And he's also speculating that this procedure that Bill Self had involved locking down that hair in the back so people wouldn't suspect it was a hairpiece.
I mean, the last I read, it was considered a possible heart attack. So I don't know that I would be going for
that's
the
not good.
cheap
Yeah.
It's not a heart attack. They've said it's not a heart attack.
Okay. And then
you thought cheesy jokes were inappropriate there, Professor?
I mean, the man had a heart attack, and I actually like Bill Self. So, yes.
He seems like a decent enough guy. He didn't mind Lubie sniffing up the back of his head.
I wouldn't have had a problem with.
Yeah.
And then Marquette, a team we've rode all year, getting 3.5 from UConn in the Big East tournament. I think Marquette kind of got over a bugaboo getting a close win over St. John's yesterday. So I like the Golden Eagles there.
It's interesting. I always have to be reminded. Shaka Smart is coaching at Marquette.
Yeah, I forget.
And this guy was so red hot. I mean, became so popular during the course of the NCAA tournament one year. And you thought, wow, how would you characterize his career at this point? Shaka Smart.
Obviously did outstanding at VCU, became one of the hottest mid-major coaches ever during that tournament run. I would say his time at Texas was kind of up and down, uneven, I guess, and then ultimately lost his job to Chris Beard, who was sort of the conquering hero coming home. He was a Texas guy after all his success at Tech. But it was kind of a mutual parting of the ways. Smart wasn't necessarily fired at Texas. It was he did want to go back to Milwaukee for whatever reason. Now, Austin, Texas, or Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I'm not inclined to pick Milwaukee, but
No.
your
There's little reason to
hometown
go
has
there.
appeal. And then he seems to have Marquette pointing in a very good direction right now. So I would say, he's a good young coach. Do I know that he's the hottest name in the game? No, because he's never really been charged of one of those classic big boy programs, and I don't think you can elevate without that, without being part of the power program. But yeah, I mean, he's a very solid young coach who probably can have that job at Marquette as long as he wants it.
Yeah, and I guess they loomed as some kind of a danger in some of the opinions that I saw about the upcoming conference tournaments, and maybe I don't know are they NCAA tournament caliber.
I mean, I don't know that anybody is feeling great about the way they're coming into the NCAA tournament. Maybe Kansas fans. I think Gonzaga is coming in very well, but I think it's a very short list.
Okay, all right. The professor. One other thing of importance to us, do you see Rick Pitino ending up either at Georgetown or St. John's? They have him at St. John's in the post.
I mean, there's a lot of Italian restaurants in both New York City and DC. So I'm not sure that's a good situation for Coach Coathanger.
Yeah. All right, I guess we'll leave it at that.
Also, I mean, honestly, when you look at what happened to Louisville, a lot of high-priced escorts in both at DC and New York City. So, again, not sure that's a great environment for Rick Pitino.
Absolved of all guilt, by the way. I mean,
probably
we should
very good
clarify that. Yeah.
Probably very good for his programs and the recruits, the number of escorts.
Yeah.
But in terms of avoiding scandals, probably not a great situation.
The cheerleaders were on the welcome squad, so I mean, big deal. All right, Professor. So you have your plays, and obviously you're feeling pretty good. It's been a lot of exciting action. Yeah,
I'm feeling great because not only is it tournament week, but you know me, Defo, I have a high level anxiety when I want to come on the program here that I'm always going to be the worst guest of the week.
Oh, no,
it always freaks me out. But this week, I happened to see that you had Kate Fagan on to talk a half an hour of women's basketball. So the worst I could do would be I could come in here and grill into the mic, and I'm still in second. So
that was a Lubie special there. He was celebrating International Women's Day. I mean, he an original member of the He-Man Woman Haters Club, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and permanently, in their emeritus. But he went out of his way to book this woman to push her book on women's hoops, which I wouldn't have known that that she wrote one. I have seen her many times on ESPN. She does seem to be, at least not in the screaming mode that has become so popular now on.
You've
ESPN
clearly never seen her on another local internet streaming show.
Oh yeah, she
her
a wild woman.
Segments are way the hell out there. She has espoused many times that she firmly believes the WNBA and women's soccer would be as popular as the NFL if only the networks would push them.
Okay, yeah,
the same way they push the NFL.
That would be an opinion I think most of us share. Jim Sarney is the only one that agrees with her. Then,
I was going to say Sarney
based on his comments on the chat line. All right, can you do it again? As always, I mean, never mind. There's no chance that you're ever competing for the ball.
Always your top program. Always,
yeah. And I mean, I would say that. And I've been doing this a long time. This is among the most spectacular segments I've seen in any medium.
Yeah, I needed a conceit to take a pot shot at Kate Fagan, so we
don't mind what you do here on the program, Professor. That's why we have fun. Yes, I mean, why hold back would be the title of the book. So let's do it. Let's turn our attention to the big board for this week.
Okay, this week's big board, folks, is a little bit more esoteric than ones previously. There's a clip from the Joe Rogan show that has been making it all over the internet, millions and millions of restreams the last week and a half, where they are talking about Joe Biden's cabinet and how they're all only doing diversity hires and so many people are unqualified. It's not a position I totally disagree with because, look, we've seen the press secretary take a hatchet to English language a few times. Yeah, you do wonder a little bit about Mayor Pete as the transportation secretary when the guy
seems to be well grounded in that field.
Never
as we have plane crashes every day and trains going
entire life.
None of it's on him.
And that's not what annoys me is that people want to make this point. My point is people are pretending that this is new, That like somehow
Yeah.
it's new to hire totally incompetent people into cabinet positions in the government when this has been the case my entire life. And I was explaining to Lubie, like hiring somebody totally incompetent or for a position they're totally qualified for is as common as the big stiff at the end of every NBA bench. Like we've been putting up with it for 50 years. So why is it any different now that a new guy is doing it? And that got me to thinking there's actually a very good comparison to be made there. And that takes us to this week's big board, which is the big board of cabinet members as NBA stiffs. Because there's a lot of
interesting
very strong parallels to be drawn here in these two positions.
I'm going to give some backstory just because I feel like it.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I give Ken a lot of credit. I don't know if he's grown or we have annoyed him enough where he's come to the point where he is more grounded. This is another one he actually questioned me about. And I was like, why? I'm like, no, as long as you don't use, and even when you use Nazis, Defo's not going to stop you. But
I was going to throw Rommel in for a couple of them. Yeah.
I mean, the green screen of the swastika in the background is never a favorable thing on the show.
We love everything you do, and you have no censorship. So I'm like, I appreciate you asking, but now go for it. And I knew Defo's going to love it. And just like you
let the good times roll, Professor.
That's great. I love it.
All right, and that takes us to number 5, which is, as previously mentioned, Mayor Pete is Brian Scalabrine. They are both so unique within their respective worlds that you actually lose the fact that they're kind of competent at their jobs. Again, Mayor Pete, the only notable gay man that I can think of, and a gay white man in a Democratic administration. Brian Scalabrine, how many 6'10" gingers who are actually pretty good 3-point shooters and can handle the ball a lot do you see? And again, their uniqueness actually makes you ignore the fact they're kind of competent. You can say what you will about Pete Buttigieg, but for a gay guy in America to go from being the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, to one of the most prominent politicians on the face of the planet, you got to admit the guy's a pretty good politician. He may not be a good transportation secretary, but as his fundamental job, he's actually pretty good at it. And Brian Scalabrine, in the rare chances where he had to start in emergency situations, actually remarkably competent. There was a reason the guy had like a 15-year NBA career, even though he was a ginger who named himself the White Mamba. Like, if you can do that and manage to keep a career going, you must have some talent somewhere.
But he wasn't quite on the Alan Ogg level where, the people started chanting for the guy in the final 2 minutes.
That's my point.
Yeah.
He was so weird looking and a ginger and gave himself the stupid nickname that you get lost in the uniqueness of his situation. Ignore that he's actually kind of competent at his gig. Just like Mayor Pete with his adopted baby and gay marriage. Like, you'll kind of lose track of the fact that to go from the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, to a major politician inside of like 2 years, that's actually pretty impressive. Like, that takes some skill in the political world.
No doubt about it. Yeah, brilliant comparison there right off the start, and very, very well founded in logic today.
And that takes us to number 4, where I really, once you see the picture, I don't think you're going to really need any comment, but we're going to give some afterwards. But we want to let it soak in for a second here. Number 4. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is Greg Ostertag. I never noticed this before I was putting these pictures together. But look at these two. These two look so much like brother and sisters that I now wonder, before Mike Huckabee became a preacher in Arkansas, if he was wandering around Kansas somewhere knocking up tall women. Like, pop a wig on Greg Ostertag, and I think he could do the press conferences and pass as Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Holy God, do these two look alike? And again, this is another one, because they're look so much like human cartoon characters. You kind of forget that they managed to be somewhat competent in jobs everybody forgets about. Like, for example, I mean, we all forget that the state of Arkansas is a state, that it actually exists. So we forget that she's managed to be governor, much like Greg Ostertag was a starting center in the NBA for like 6 years for a playoff team. Now, we all ignored the Utah Jazz in that period until their second round NBA playoff loss with Deron Williams and Carlos Boozer. But the guy was actually a fairly long-term starter in the NBA. But again, they look so much like, I don't know, Baby Huey and the cartoon characters that you kind of get lost. That, again, not as awful at their job as you might think they are.
We always thought Huckabee Sanders would be ideal to be a PR representative for a really lousy team in sports. The way she handled those Trump press conferences, where she would just, take to task virtually everybody who asked a question. And, would point out that the newspaper subscribers from the questioner had diminished down to a point where they were absolutely irrelevant. And, she was great. So she would have been great maybe being a Dolphins PR person. Saying, well, what are you talking about, Tua? He didn't throw any interceptions today. Yeah. I mean, she would have been brilliant in that role.
So would Greg Ostertag. Because
Ostertag, man, he was a big white stiff.
Aren't switched at birth.
Yeah. You're on a roll here, Professor. A fascinating, take on today's big board. That's number 4, comparing the biggest stiffs in cabinet positions and high political positions to the biggest stiffs in the NBA.
Number 3. Pretty much every vice president of my lifetime is Chuck
I love Chuck Nevitt.
Nevitt's the greatest. Yeah.
As a group, they're totally worthless. They're only there to serve as human victory cigars there on election night. And much less, if one of these guys was out front or if Chuck Nevitt was actually playing, you knew something tragic were happening. We were all deeply, deeply screwed. Like, if these guys actually had to do the job that they were the backup for, we were all desperately in trouble. And again, are there a couple of vice presidents who don't fit into this? Yes, you have Dick Cheney, who was actually kind of competent at his job, but he wasn't Chuck Nevitt. He was Zaza Pachulia, good at the gig, kind of, but completely evil and out to hurt people at every given opportunity.
Yeah. An absolute nutbag. How many people did he shoot? I mean, he shot more people than Dillinger, I think.
He shot about the same amount of people as Zaza Pachulia injured stars during the playoffs. You had Dick Cheney out there shooting people at dove hunts, and you had Zaza Pachulia ripping Kwame Leonard's arm out of his socket during a meaningless end of a game in a playoff series.
Yeah. Pop was never happy about that. I mean, that sparked that famous clip that we played from Popovich, which, he goes on for like 5 minutes on the questioner, who was our guy from the NBA television network,
who passed.
Seiko Smith, who unfortunately checked out. I mean, with COVID or something.
So it was COVID.
Yeah.
So number 3, most vice presidents are Chuck Nevitt. Number 2,
Nevitt, though. I mean, how many rings does he have? Does he have 4 rings, Chuck Nevitt?
I believe he got,
because he was with Chicago and San Antonio, both during their heyday, and
he was actually on a 10-day contract with one of the bad boys teams on the Pistons.
Yeah, Detroit also, right? Unbelievable. He might have more. I mean, Robert Horry has the most rings with 7, so that would make him the greatest player of all time. But Nevitt is not far behind for being a big white stiff.
Again, for being the basketball version of Dan Quayle, who was actually vice president.
Dan Quayle. All right, that's number 3.
Number 2, again, I think this one's pretty obvious, although I don't know how many people would make the connection, and that is Jared Kushner is Chris Humphries.
Good for you.
It doesn't matter how good or bad they are at their job. For some reason, despite being, number 1, a guy who almost made a couple All-Star games, and a guy who was one of the more influential people in the White House, we never actually heard them speak. We don't really know what either one of them sounds like. Yeah. All that really matters is their terrible, terrible marriage that we were all focused on. And much like Chris Humphries has been swallowed by the face of the earth, hopefully we will never hear from or see Jared Kushner ever again in our lifetimes. Hopefully, honestly, they're in the same place in Turkey. Maybe Jared owns the team that Chris Humphrey plays for in Turkey somewhere or wherever the hell it is. I have no idea because Chris Humphries has completely vanished. And hopefully that's what will happen with Jared Kushner too. We'll never see them or their awful, awful wives ever again.
How long was he married to Kardashian? Like 10 days? Was he on a 10-day contract with the Kardashians?
Another thing that they have in common, much like Chris Humphries is the only man a Kardashian has ever dated that Kris Jenner, for some reason, totally hated. Donald Trump, openly hostile for years and years to the fact that his daughter married Jared Kushner, when Donald Trump thought Ivanka had a chance to marry Tom Brady. So hostile with the in-laws on top of everything else, drawing comparisons between Jared Kushner and Chris Humphries.
You brought it up, but Brady to the Dolphins, again, rumors surfacing. Brady will be the Dolphins quarterback next year, and that will leave you, denouncing all faith and loyalty to your beloved Dolphin team? No?
Zolak has lost his fucking mind. It's not a thing. Only Zolak has to say.
All right, so some maniac is spreading that rumor, is what you're saying.
Zolak is CTE riddled. He's a lunatic.
All right, that's number two. Jared Kushner, not exactly a admired character in the Trump administration. No. I don't know. Was he despised more than Rudy Giuliani? At least Giuliani was comical in his presentation of himself.
Hard to tell between those two.
Yeah. When the hair coloring was dripping down the sideburns of Giuliani's schwitzing face, would you say liar? What was the first word that came to mind? Yeah.
That's number two.
That brings us to number one, Defo.
Yes.
Which is Florida's own Kaylee McInerney is Mark Madsen. Be honest here, they both come with big college resumes.
Yeah.
Everybody's very impressed by their academic years of their career. Both had their supporters. One was a first-round draft pick. The other became press secretary of the NBA. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, all anybody who was the people who were in charge wanted to see was them shake their ass on the podium at the victory party. That's the only reason they were ever hired or put in these positions. Kaylee McInerney, absolutely Mark Madsen. And let's be frank here. She's already working for Fox News. If Fox winds up with the Pac-12 contract, can totally see Mark Madsen winding up working for Fox Sports for the next decade, covering the Pac-12.
Yeah, Pac-12, yeah. He's a Stanford.
She was another gift from the Trump administration. Seems to keep on giving.
And in the interest, because we were trying to make this bipartisanship, but we had an extra Republican here. We have a bonus slide here, Defo.
All right.
We couldn't include him in the 1 through 5 because was not an actual cabinet member, although held a position, Obama's body man, that a lot of people think is more important than cabinet members because they're around the president anymore, and didn't quite make the NBA. But Reggie Love is Reggie Love. Serving as Obama's body man, whose job entirely seemed to be the guy who played basketball with Obama.
Yeah.
Or back when he was Rat Face's hatchet man playing Duke basketball and was so stupid that this is a true story, was so stupid that as not just a Duke basketball player, but Duke's hatchet man, fell asleep, passed out drunk at a North Carolina fraternity party. And as you can see on the right, his reward was getting dicks drawn all over his face for an entire night with the pictures all over the internet. That is one rat-faced disciple, Reggie Love.
He made Grayson Allen look like Jerry West, is what you're saying, this guy.
That's great.
Made Jay Billis look like Wes Unseld.
Which I would imagine Jay will be heavily influential on the call today of the Hurricanes game against Duke. How could they put this guy on that ball game? It's a disgrace.
I completely agree, but at least they got rid of Vital.
I was a Vital fan. I like the hype there. Yeah.
Again, one Duke ass kisser to another Duke ass kisser. The connection this time is just a little more direct.
Yeah. Vital did love Duke.
My favorite Vital cliche was that man can flat out coach.
That is our political cabinet members.
Brilliant again.
NBA
wow.
Big Stiffs.
That was great.
I mean, that's mixing it up pretty good there, Professor. Absolutely outstanding. How is your dog Loki, who you have had to transport to the vet a couple of times?
He had oral surgery last week, but he had his checkup and he's doing well.
Oh, great. Okay, that's good to hear. And I was here about Gus. I didn't realize that.
Oh, that's a while ago.
Yeah,
we're a few months down the road from that.
All right, yeah, my guys are doing good. Skippy's still hanging on, believe it or not. Still hangs on to a few of his unfortunate habits, so like biting everybody that comes in the house. But you know what? I realize how much happier I am with no guests ever coming in.
No one ever comes over. That's great.
No one ever comes over. It's fantastic. Yeah, Skippy scared them all away.
That's that's not an entirely bad break.
No, it's rather pleasant actually. Thinking how much I used to love throwing parties. the old version of me is very happy with Skippy Dog at the door going.
The new antisocial Defo is happy with a dog that scares everybody
I'm
away.
slowly but surely morphing into a complete hermit here. It's I don't even want to get in the car anymore. All right, thanks, Professor. Always a pleasure, my friend.
You guys have a great
You're
one.
a great American. All right,
yeah.
and enjoy the games today. That's going to be a lot of fun. 7:00 tonight for that Hurricane basketball game against Duke. Professor, not of the frame of mind as many others. I read one article about it, and the guy said that. Well, and we had a Greek on, and he says that Miami's going to get buried, and that was my first thought, honestly, Lubie. Now, this is the same guy that gave you Rory McIlroy over Scotty Scheffler and John Rahm.
Yes, as much as I
combined -5, while Rory is staggering and unlikely to make the cut, right? Unless he has like an amazing round today.
Let's have a good day. Which, look, it's not impossible for him to have.
It's not likely though. I can't rebound in this thing. I'm already shut out. You're looking at a dead man walking, as I said earlier.
Oh, what?
Well, because of Paul Lowry. Paul Lowry is +5.
Oh,
some of my other guys, and I took a few obscure guys here, but most of them are sitting in there between even par and 3 under. Okay, of the other 5 guys that I have, they're all either even par or 3 under.
Yeah, I was going to say
but somewhere in there. Yeah,
Kim's doing
well. Shane Lowry is at +5. He's not even on the page here.
Yeah, but what is he today? But he hasn't gone today.
No, but I mean, he's not going to turn. Both of these guys can't turn those bad rounds around.
Why?
You have to understand, that golf, unfortunately, it's sort of an habitual mechanism, right? And if you're in bad form, it's very rare that you would see both guys who shot themselves out of the tournament here. I mean, pretty much the leader is 7 under. So if you're talking about making the cut, and there's a zillion guys in this field here. I'm looking at it. Literally, it's 2 pages of agatite.
That's a problem
for the Players Championship, which I enjoy watching. I wish I was watching it with a rooting interest. I guess the beauty about golf is you can re-up. It's like these poker tournaments, right, where you can buy in like 17 times till you finally maybe get a couple of decent hands and win some money. Which you would think that you could only buy into a tournament once, right, Lubie? Like you're in the tournament, and if it's an elimination event, then once you're eliminated, you're out. They probably, if the NCAA still had any power, they would find a way that even if Duke was eliminated from a tournament, they would get a free pass, right? Where they were allowed to lose one game and they would still be able to buy back into the tournament. That's a weird concept, though, isn't it? You buy your way back in. But in this case, I don't have any shot. I would have to bet like maybe on the eventual winner, which I'm not sure that I would have come close there, although Scotty Scheffler and Rahm are good bets this year. But this Lowry, man, he's usually pretty reliable, Lubie. I'm trying to find him here on this sheet. +5.
+3. He's +3 right now.
Oh, okay. So he's, like you said, he was turning it around quickly, and he's already off to a dynamite start.
That's what I'm saying. Days the whole thing. Like,
yeah, baby.
Morikawa and the other guy are at 8 under and 7 under. So that's the thing is it's gone out so far that being
Morikawa was flashing off the page. He was not on the list with McIlroy and Rahm and Scheffler. So you could have picked Morikawa. And I thought, well, you know what? This guy's been a little disappointing to me lately. Yeah. But he's been right there knocking on the door in a couple of tournaments. I'm telling you, you degenerates out there, golf is a fascinating sport to bet. It really is. But the reason that you're getting long odds is because the probability, I mean, it's not like horse racing where, where if you bet on 3 favorites, one of them is probably going to win. If you're betting in consecutive races, these horses win about a third of the time. A weird story, I just wanted to touch on because I know this guy and I couldn't figure out what happened to him. And racing fans would probably know the name. And if you're not a racing fan, you would have no idea what I'm talking about. But guy I was friends with for many years because Hialeah Park, one of our fine sponsors here on the program, has been a launching pad for many, many successful and then maybe even the ultimate best race callers that have ever gone ahead and been involved in that profession. All right, Tom Durkin, I remember he started at Tampa Bay Downs, I believe, but then quickly after that got the Hialeah job. Dave Johnson, the great Dave Johnson, and down the stretch they come, who was very prominent. I met Dave when he was calling at Santa Anita, and he was. I enjoyed his calls immensely. I always did. Some people would knock Dave Johnson, saying maybe he's putting it on a little bit. With that and down the stretch they come, especially when maybe his vision went south and he was calling that while they were on the backstretch. No, Dave's a great guy, man. A real gentleman. He was one of those guys that was in an announcing position that I had admiration for, and and on top of that was a real gentleman.
Yeah.
That was a fairly commonplace thing back in the day, where the guy wasn't a dick. I mean, like I said, meeting like Jimmy Lennon Jr. Or Senior, or any of the great stadium announcers. So, which I would consider what is a track announcer considered a stadium announcer also. Would you say it's in the same genre as being, like Bob Shepard? Number seven. It's it's not an easy thing to do. I've tried it once, actually live at Tampa Bay Downs when Richard Grunder was calling there, and I was doing some work there. We were doing a racing show from Tampa Bay Downs, a results show, and I blew it. I would have to say, for as critical as I always was about race announcers, I was sitting there going, you know what? I fucked this up. And it was a 6-horse field that I had like all night to study, and I still, found myself. It's something that if you're not in the groove of doing it, like anything else,
go back and forth.
Not easy. So anyway, friends, Vic Stauffer also got his start at Hialeah Park. I believe that was his first, among his first jobs in race calling. And what we have, Pete Aiello, who's now brilliant at Gulfstream Park. We'll be in there later on today. Got his first big break there at Hialeah Park, calling races there. And, many others. Started Frank Miramonti, now the voice of Santa Anita, and also going to be calling Saratoga now. Got that job. So he has reached the pinnacle and, had a very humble beginning. A schwitzing Miramonti was there calling races and just absolutely butchering them very early on in Hialeah. But the people at Hialeah, you know how they are. They stick with you, man. They say the guy's got potential. That's a pretty impressive list. I mean, of guys in the profession that have all sort of, gotten their chops together at Hialeah Park and been brilliant while they were there. Tom Durkin, I mean, being probably the most famous and, most celebrated of all. So anyway, Vic was calling at Oaklawn Park for many years now and had been at other places around the country. I believe he might have been at Golden Gate for a while and several other tracks. And always, was respected as a race caller. Some people didn't necessarily love everything that he did, but I knew the guy when, and I hung out with him when he was a race caller at Ak-Sar-Ben, which you'll realize, Lubie, is Nebraska spelled backwards.
Yes, I think, yes.
Now, why would I be at Ak-Sar-Ben racetrack unless I was out there for the 9-day venture or 10 days of the College Baseball World Series when the Canes were prominent and, involved in that, and usually getting past at least the first game or so. And so you were out there for several days, and I loved it because not only was my buddy Vic Stauffer calling the races at Ak-Sar-Ben and got me into a nice spot there, but they had simulcasting, predating its advent here in South Florida, so I could go screen to screen and bet races. Mm-hmm. I do remember he asked me if I could go out. He had a girlfriend or a girl that he was, when we were talking about dating earlier with the Greek on the program, but he had a girl who he was very fond of. And he says, Deef, I kind of need like a beard, in a sense. I need somebody to just come and sort of act like, they're with her friend. Because she wants to bring her friend out to dinner. And, I need another guy to kind of...
It's not a beard. You're a straight man, so it'd be called a double date. A beard. I don't think a straight man's a beard, Deef. I love that you know the term beard, which is probably derogatory now. But no, you're just called the double date. Hopefully it goes well, and if it doesn't, yes, then you're the winner.
Well, no, I wasn't interested. I think I was like recently married at the time, and I was pretty content with that. Although you know what, I did go. So anyway, and he was going to go to some steakhouse, and I would have to say, and I would never think this, right? These were the 2 hottest strippers I have ever seen in my lifetime, and they're in Nebraska, for God's sake.
Wow, that's
working a strip club in Nebraska, and Vic was all over this girl, and I was kind of just shut out there. Speaking of which, man, that's good to have an animal on the show.
Good, I adore her, but I don't need her on the show.
My little dog just came in here, but she doesn't like to appear on camera.
Goddamn mixed up.
No.
I love it.
Yeah, you don't want the cat messing with the equipment.
Sarky's favorite, but exactly. He started working on the goddamn.
Yeah. It's Pet Rescue with Mike Lubie Lubitz here.
Just go.
Anyway, so Stauffer, was quite a character, and he got me into this episode there where, all of a sudden, I mean, look, this stripper was more inclined to take a liking to me than, some ordinary woman. You would imagine, right? I mean, that was her game, was to come on to men. So, there I was in somewhat of a compromising position that I didn't intend to be in. And then you have to ask yourself, do you have a conscience?
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask myself. I know where I stand there.
I won't say what happened, but, it was an interesting evening, to say the very least.
Jesus.
I don't think anybody ate at the table there. We were in some fine Omaha, Nebraska steakhouse, which was great. So anyway, so Stauffer, I mean, I told you, I was always afraid to get involved with Twitter.
Okay.
The tweets that we put out are generated by Lubie, who is very careful not to do anything that would cast a negative light on what we're trying to accomplish here as we continue to try and bug Andy to hook us up with that FanDuel guy.
Which he is yet to do.
Yeah, no, we know. If anybody was going to come through for us, it was Andy, who schlepped all the way from Palm Beach to be part of our revolution yesterday with Mike Mayo at Esposito's. And, I thought that was very admirable on his part, no?
Yes. Oh, 100%. He's a huge supporter, staunch supporter.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we have him linked with this guy, so we'll see.
Unbelievable, yeah. So Stauffer must have tweeted something out and was immediately fired.
Oh, really? Oh, is that where this?
Because I'm watching the races and I'm like, hey, where's Vic? I mean, you know these people and you're kind of enjoying their work and you're thinking, let's see what he comes up with in this call, and no longer there, right? And a very terse message from Oaklawn Park management saying that he's no longer with the organization.
Oh no! What did he tweet? Do you know what?
And then I Google the thing. I don't know that Vic is that popular that he would be international headline news. It's weird that I'm even spending this much time talking about him. But it just gets back to the thing about watch what you're doing when you're texting and tweeting, right?
Oh, %.
I'm sure he loved this job. He called himself the goof on the roof, and he became like a very prominent handicapper. He's done a lot of jobs in horse racing, but I think he's won like a ton of money in some of these handicapping tournaments, which would also imply that he's probably lost a ton of money betting the shit out of horses. And that was what I originally thought, that maybe there was something involving gambling. But whatever he tweeted out it was not considered to be flattering to the people at Oaklawn Park as to having him represent the organization. And that's a shame to lose a job like that, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, that sucks. Look, and the thing is, being sensational on Twitter can get you noticed.
Yeah.
And it can also get you canceled. So that's why I'm very conservative with what I do on the social media platforms, because it's just not worth it to get thrown away. Like, it's just not.
And then, there's a negative light cast on you unless you have some really good ties somewhere where someone's willing to give you a shot in spite of the fact that your reputation has now been tainted. I was going to say, I Googled Vic Stauffer, and it says Stauffer killed in plane crash, but it wasn't that Vic Stauffer. So, the fact that he got fired, was not mentioned either, as they had a little vague thing about how the new guy had taken over. But watch what you tweet out there, people, if you're in the public eye. That's for sure. Cancel culture is in full force. All right, we're coming back. Mike Mayo is going to join us here on the program. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We want to get Michael down there. The way that he gobbled down that food at Esposito's yesterday, you would think that he would also be a big, big fan of the Italian Fisherman Pizza, no?
Mm-hmm.
Because he seems willing to open up and try a lot of new things. I don't know that he ever was lacking in that, But this Italian Fisherman Pizza is something, and it's only one of a zillion items on the menu that you're going to absolutely love at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. It's kind of like that Esposito's was yesterday in the sense that, you're expecting the stuff to be good, but you're not expecting it to be that good. You know what I mean? Depending on the kind of place that you're going to, especially in the Keys, where you got like this casual vibe and everything. And you're not necessarily thinking that this is going to be, 5-star dining as well. Whether you were talking about just something like a plate of nachos with pork, which is unfinishable by even the heftiest of people, or, the fresh seafood that's, right out of the ocean there. I mean, it was caught like hours before. Absolutely fantastic. And the preparation couldn't be any more impeccable by Dominic Kajemi and his crew in the kitchen there. Includes our good friend CJ Spiller on the pizza side. I mean, they're really just a dynamite organization. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. You're going to love it. And, it's got that casual Keys vibe. And at the same time, I mean, you're not sitting there waiting forever. The service is also top notch. Dominic's wife, Amanda, is the GM there. Larry Calvano is a St. Thomas Thomas guy. He's the owner, and you just get the feeling that this is the place to be when you're in Key Largo. A lot of spring breakers, I don't know how many, are inclined to tune into this show at 7 in the morning. Spring breakers, all of those hot chicks from the University of Kentucky that are down at the Ocean Manor. Remember when they were doing Jello shots off each other's, pretty much unclothed belly buttons while they were on the bar there? That was some wild times. Yeah, spring break. That was the epitome of what spring break should be. But even if you're a spring breaker and, you want to have a little more decorum in your behavior, get down there to Jimmy. I don't know if they would approve of nudity on the bar. This was a different time, right? I mean, even Frankie might want to clean that up at this point at the Ocean Manor. But you will absolutely love Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill and the vibe that you get down there. And I think it's going to be like brutally hot over the weekend. So good time to get down there and enjoy yourself. Mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, coming up. And we'll have another contest going today, too, to win a Sunday brunch for two at the 10 Palms Buffet, which is just absolutely sensational. And you can kind of sit there all day and enjoy a table on the finish line. I think of the winners that we've had that have actually experienced it, they've gone out of their way, Lubie, out of their way to say what a great experience it was. So we'll have that coming up later on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And the Mayo Man is right around the corner here when we come back in a moment. Now that. 8:40. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
South Florida restaurant owner really just kind of losing it when the dirty dining cameras show up at his place.
He was not happy. Esposito's New York coal-fired pizza was the only place ordered shut by inspectors in our area last week, and local 10 investigator Jeff White's here. Well, let's just say he got an earful.
You guys are snakes.
We're snakes because you have roaches?
He is Joseph Lay, owner of Esposito's New York coal-fired pizza. It's on University Drive south of 595 in Davie, and we are simply here to ask why his restaurant had a roach issue serious enough that a state inspector ordered the place shut.
Like your mother. Your mother has roaches.
My mother has roaches? My mother? I mean, is that, what are you, 6 years old?
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
You know what that is, Mike Mayo. Look at you. Well, what are you chowing down on already before we get started here?
Is it pizza? Are you eating pizza at 8:45 in the morning?
No, it's some of that absolutely delicious veal chop.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
We got yesterday at Esposito's, and Look, I got the whole platter that Lubie put together.
Lubie
And
did
look,
a
Ma,
nice job on the leftovers. He really
look,
did.
Ma, no roaches.
That was a joke, man.
I still don't do with
I
them.
mean, it was weird. I mean, a lot of things struck me even in the aftermath of being there. I mean, the place unfortunately was empty at lunchtime. We were there 12 to 1. Guys putting out like fantastic food. I mean, high quality, low prices. A menu that was far more diverse than you would anticipate for a place that, has kind of the subhead there of being a pizza place. And I mean, this Weinzier guy, I mean, literally, took a sledgehammer to the business there and conked them right over the head.
Look, I have to say that I really like crusading Defo. Defo, you are rising up on my food depth chart this week because
I was blown away though by the quality of the food there because I wouldn't necessarily expect it. That kind of a strip mall storefront. Built as a pizza place to have that level. I mean, it was fantastic.
No, look, we've been talking about it a while on the lunchbox. Now, this Joe Lay has had this place for almost 20 years, 18 years. This was the first time they ever gotten dinged with a shutdown order by the health department for a roach issue, which he said was, came in on a box of shipment and it got past him, and he's very embarrassed. And they cleaned it up, and the next day they were reopened. And then, like 4 days later, Jeff Weinzier shows up with camera crew in tow, lurking around the back door, shooting through the back door, the kitchen. Not everyone's coming up to him through the front door and checking out the beautiful place and just saying, hey, what happened? Or not once even putting in the report the context that this was the first shutdown. It's not like a serial offender. Look, we had him on the lunchbox, both parties, and I'm very sympathetic to Joe and Esposito's and the quality of the food. I've been there now a couple of times. The place looks immaculate. I would not hesitate about taking my daughter or any of my friends there, or even Defo and Lubie. And no, we had a great meal.
Great time, too.
And I want people to support this guy because it's just he was a victim. I hate the victimization society, but he really was a victim of journalistic malpractice.
Yes.
And you could see it in the guy. He's lost 40% of his business. We had a couple of people show up yesterday. Andy, God bless you for coming. And also another guy on Let's Eat, Eric, came out and he picked up something.
Yep, that was nice.
My poker buddy Willie wanted to come, but he got slammed with work. But I really want, and Joey said that people have been coming out in response to what he posted on Let's Eat and having him on the show, that he's gotten some new faces, but he's lost a lot of old faces.
Which I don't get, like, to me, and you and Ken talked about this when we had Ken on the one day that Defo was off. And because Ken was, as a restaurateur and a guy who is really big in eating out, knows his stuff with cuisine, whether cooking himself or going out to fine dining or even lower level places and finding good grub. He said, look, if I'm going to a place already, what, like, your thing, why would that change me? But that's literally what Joe said. Is, we're getting new people, but we're not getting old people, which I find so weird. Like, if I've been going to a place for 10 years for pizza, they had, like, that's not going to stop me. I know what I like. I know what they do. Like, why would I stop because of Jeff Wine?
And we've seen it's odd because, there are places that we know and love that have gotten dinged and have gotten shut down, but they were no worse for the wear because they were not spotlighted on Dirty Dining. And look, Joe, he admits he melted down. He had about as worst reaction as you can on camera for the cameras. And of course, Jeff showed him in all his inglorious, just at his worst. And, and I think that's partly why we've seen the response, like longtime customers, with the way he behaved that day. He was cursing out Weinzier. He uses your mother has roaches, which to me was
that's
pretty funny.
Natural, right? You grew up in Brooklyn. That's the first thing you said.
But that clip went viral, and you haven't seen the whole segment yet. But he curses, like Joe cursed out Weinzier.
Oh, he did? Okay.
He got right into the camera's face.
So he looks bad.
He did. He looked terrible. And he admitted that, and he apologized for it. And again, Weinzier showed no mercy and no discretion, and wasn't even fair in terms of putting it in context, and even just including the basic fact that this was the first violation, first shutdown, first insect issue in almost 20 years. And that's why I really want to help this guy. I'm going to be going back there with friends, and I'm eating his veal chop for breakfast because it was freaking good. It's in that, it has a lot of
You're
sliced
not easy to
garlic.
please when it comes to a veal chop. You're very discriminating on your veal
And this
chops.
was
Yeah.
tender. He pounded it out. It's
It's not
on
like
the
you're going
bone.
to Checkers for a veal chop. I
He
mean,
used fresh mozzarella, not the cheap skim,
Yeah.
part skim shredded. This is like real, sliced fresh mozzarella on top of a really nice veal chop that was pounded thin, tender, and
how
the
about that
sauce.
side dish of spaghetti, man? That,
Yeah,
that
no,
was unbelievable. I couldn't. I thought that was like a dish in and of itself, and he's
Well,
telling
this
us
is smart
that was a
business
side
because,
dish. Yeah.
this shows you the smart business. Yeah, look, he's not in the high rent district.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to charge that arm and a leg price. So this veal chop, which would go for $45, $55, $65 at some places, without a pasta side dish, he's smart. This is like $38 dish, which is incredible. And he serves it with this huge side, like you said, the side portion of
I
spaghetti.
was amazed. Yeah.
But you know what? That's smart business. How much does a
Yeah.
pound of spaghetti cost? You get it for
Well,
$1.50.
a lot of
So
times too, you get the side dish begrudgingly in some places. Where you
but
go, "Hey, does that come with anything?" And they go, "Yeah, it comes with a check." And
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
"Can I get a side dish of spaghetti?" Yeah, that's an upcharge, and you feel kind of jilted a little
But
bit.
this is smart business because he
Yeah.
gives you like 8 ounces of spaghetti, which, let's face it, the basic cost for that is 70 cents.
Yeah.
So why not throw it into a $38 dish and make people feel like they get it? So to me, he's doing everything right as a
Good guy. Yeah.
restaurateur.
Yeah.
And it just and I appreciate the way you are crusading on his behalf too.
I feel
also
terrible. Yeah, I mean, because it's a sensitive issue because we're involved in this business, and I'm sure you've had times where you could have reported something, and you mentioned it yesterday on the show, on the Lunchbox show, a story that you ultimately decided to bury because it was just going to do harm to the people. And in this case, though, I mean, and you're around the restaurant business as the food critic, and now the head of 100,000 strong following on Let's Eat South Florida, along with the lovely Gretchen, who, by the way, was great having her on the Lunchbox show from the South Florida Sun Sentinel.
She's wonderful.
General manager now, managing editor.
Managing editor, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, you just look at it and go, it's so sensational when a guy like Weinstein with a segment titled "Dirty Dining" goes into a place. It's an immediate condemnation of the joint. You're thinking, and you're thinking that he's been responsible and done a little bit of appropriate research to see are these guys, always being hit with these kind of violations? Because that would be what constitutes dirty dining to me.
Yeah,
we all know that the restaurant business here, I would imagine, probably I don't know, a reasonably high percentage of restaurants have had these issues and closed down for a day, and the whole purpose is to get them in compliance. And once they are, they reopen again, like you said. So,
So
you can't slander a guy like that and put him in that category.
Well, obviously you can, and again, it is based on facts, but it was not fair. And look, we urge everybody to go there because I love the place. I'll start going there with my daughter just to get. And that pizza was terrific, and I'm gonna.
That was great. Yeah, both of them.
It was good. It was at an elevated kind of level, which is what we've noticed with Even Keel.
Yeah.
But the portions were like when you go to the mom and pop place, which is usually you don't get that. Like
You could split these. You could go in there and split one of those mains, split an appetizer, split a dessert, and you're out of there, without drinks for like $60. Like you can't beat that.
Beautiful thing. Yeah. No.
Anyway,
it was good
so
to be
I
a
love
part of it. Yeah.
I love crusading Defo. I also think Defo has had the line of, I don't know, definitely the day, maybe the week, maybe the year, when you rightfully threw it back in Professor's face after you made your Bill Self heart attack joke, and he took umbrage to it. And then I forget what the exact thing is like your one to take issue with cheesy.
Oh,
joke.
yeah. No, the professor. I mean, this is.
He wishes harm on Duke coaches.
He would like to see, Ben
Ben
Affleck. I mean, just drive off a bridge there in one of those car commercials. I mean,
So
that seemed like an odd one. Yeah,
you are on the way up on the list there, Defo, and you know who's
good.
on the way down on my eating list?
Who's that? Lubie?
Well, no, my man Dick Steen. I mean, look, I love Dick
what did he
Steen.
do? Now this is
I love
Best of
Dick Steen.
Delray.
He's turned me on to a lot of good places and good food finds and some unexpected ones up in Delray at the bistro at the Kings Point. They have a great burger there, and I ate that. But he went to gamble. He was on a gambling. His wife was out of town. He wanted to go to the Hard Rock last night. And
why is that always the qualifier that his wife is out of town?
That's
he could have done it. He could have done it with her in town.
Yeah, he can
probably
do
wouldn't
whatever he
happen.
wants.
Yeah.
He does
All
what
right.
he wants. But
He's Dixie.
I said I can't go to the casino. I couldn't play poker last night. I had to stay around my house. But I said I could meet you for dinner. Let's go to Tropical Acres. And you know me and
Oh,
Tropical
nice.
Acres.
Yes, you were pictured there.
I was, and somebody captured me, as they said, in
Yes.
my natural habitat, and it was great because it was very funny. These two women, lovely, the mother and daughter, and they actually own the Dairy Queen on State Road 7. That's in that old building. It's the
Oh, yeah.
original structure from 1954. Have you ever seen that one? As you
You know what? I blow by the one on Federal Highway all the time, and
Okay.
for about a year, I lived actually like across the street from it, and it never ceased to amaze me how busy it was.
Oh, no, Dairy Queens do well, but this
Yeah.
is the original structure. It has the old signage. It's an incredible
Oh,
building.
wow.
It looks like sticks out like a sore thumb, and when you're driving down State Road 7, it's right across from a Home Depot that's, like, at the corner of Pembroke Road or something, but,
Yeah.
lovely mother and daughter who were eating at Tropical Acres, and the daughter, it was her first time. The mother goes all the time, but they saw me come in. They snapped a picture of me coming in, and then,
That wasn't
Jackson
a setup? Wait, that wasn't a setup?
No, Jackson, they saw me come in and they actually snapped the picture like a paparazzi.
Oh
But
my
then,
God, are you kidding me?
and then I'm sitting there with Dick Steen, and it was Dick Steen's first time at Tropical Acres, and I'm getting to that in a moment. But this Jackson, who is Joe's adopted son and one of the maitre d's there, comes up to me, goes, "Hey, Mike, there's a couple of your fans that are here. They want to know if they could come over to the table." And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
Absolutely. So this,
Wow, this
yeah,
is
the
big.
mother-
It's getting
Wait,
big.
wait, wait, there's not
Yeah.
only fans, there's fans, because at least with our fans,
We created a monster here. We really
look
did,
above
Lubie.
us, they don't give a shit.
He was
There's
ink stained wretch before.
that
Go
are
ahead.
looking at you like you're freaking Leo DiCaprio, and they're scared to even
Yeah.
approach you.
It's amazing,
They're
man.
asking the manager if it would be okay to approach you. Are you fucking
And
kidding?
how about the groupies too? I mean, they
It's
showed up a
unbelievable
few
what's
weeks
happening.
ago.
They just
I
Go
thought
on,
they
I
were
had to
awesome.
interject there. Go on.
They
He's
showed
eating a
them.
bagel and a schmear, stuffing in his face, and there's two women, two gorgeous women that want to meet him. It's incredible.
So the mother and daughter, it was they come over and we chat a little bit, and they said, we took a picture of you coming in. Would it be okay if like we put that in as a post? I was like, you could put it as a post, that's fine with me. I don't know if it's going to get approved. I'm not going to approve it or disapprove it. I'll see what the other ones do. Gretchen approved it.
Oh, really?
And as well, she should have.
And
thought it was
and
classic.
it's taken off in a frenzy, and people are like commenting, and it's gotten 23,000 views already.
Wow.
It's really swelling my head. I'm becoming more and more.
If Mick Jagger walked in there and ordered the steak, the filet mignon, it wouldn't have gotten more attention. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that was funny. And then when they came over, I chatted with them, and I took Dick Steen took a picture of the three of us on their phone and on his phone. He sent it. So that was lovely. But Dick Steen, sometimes he puts the dick in Dick Steen. That's
what soured you on Dick Steen?
Let me ask you, and
Okay,
I already know the story.
Yeah.
Because you're harsh. Okay, my wife will do this sometimes, like where she'll get mad at me about something that she knew ahead of time I was going to do. So it's called, and I've called it, don't set me up for failure. We talk about it with coaches. Like, if you know I do this every time and you hate it, tell me before I fucking do it, so I don't fucking do it. Like, and I know I'm Joe Pesciing it, but it frustrates the hell out of me. Like, if set me up to succeed, not to fail. Okay.
Well, I don't want to say that he pulled the Defo, but he ordered wrong.
Okay, but you're sitting there, right? We all go to you for the most part for your advice. Even Defo, who gives you shit, will go for your advice. How would you let him order wrong without at least imparting your tips?
Because Dick Steen
he insisted he was right.
Dick Steen can be very hard-headed. He's a former Hollywood producer.
What did he order? The duck? What did he have?
So we go in there. First of all, he's on keto, and he's in the keto zone. He doesn't want to see a piece of bread or
which it turns out is really bad for you, and it causes immediate heart problems.
He was saying appetizers. What appetizers? I was like, oh, they have this like stuffed crab meat stuffed mushroom that I like, and he's like, no, I can't have any of that. So we got like the shrimp cocktail, which there it's it's reasonable. It's $11, and it's these plump shrimp, but it wasn't like I guess the quality
prawns from New Orleans or something,
or whatever. But he was kind of, and then we got the escargot, and last night it was kind of a rough night for the escargot platter there. But the main course, I told him, look, the things that I love most here are the filet mignon, the special cut filet, and the prime rib, and he proceeds to order the prime rib, and he asked our waiter. He wants the end cut, and that he reserved the end cut. And I was like, the end cut? And I was like, that's always like,
you want that thing right from the middle, man. Start slicing
the
in the
end
middle.
cut is at the end, and it's always like shoe leather. It's always
Well
Tough.
done.
You
Yeah.
understand what the end cut is, okay? And you guys should know as much. But
My mother would order the end cut. Speaking of my mother,
that's it. The end cut is the worst piece of the fucking meat. And what the end cut is when someone wants it well done, they're not giving you the good part of the meat. If you want it well done, we're going to give you the shit part of the meat.
We'll give you the butt.
End cut. So you only get the end cut if you want it well done, and that's it. You don't ask for end cut. That's not like a special thing. It's the worst.
I just raised my eyebrows when he ordered the end cut, and I said, "Are you sure about that?" I said, "That it's beautiful when you get it medium rare." He goes,
"Sure,
this is my barometer for prime rib, and I've been all over and eating
all over the
prime
world.
rib,
No, yeah.
and
been to Arby's,
and what he likes is like that crust and the seasoning, and like." But they don't have a very a robust seasoning on the prime rib there because of their clientele, and it's a lot of older people, and it's kind of a little bit tramped down. It's still very flavorful, and they still had some good crust with the good saltiness. But the end cut there isn't like anything that's that's just bursting with all kinds of dry rub seasonings. He doesn't know that. I'm trying to steer him to the right place, and he's insistent on getting that. It comes out, and he goes, "Where's the bone?" I was like, "It's not bone in prime rib. I've never heard of bone." He goes, "Every end cut I've ever had is bone in." And
he has no idea what he's doing.
And
this guy runs this app about restaurants.
Well, no,
Mayo, you got to straighten Dickstein out.
I tried, and then he's just sitting there. It comes out. He wouldn't send it back. It's like total shoe leather. He's not. I could tell he's just hating on everything.
Right.
And so this is why I say sometimes that Tropical Acres is polarizing, because if you don't do things the way that it might lead to the great result, then you might not have the greatest.
If anybody would know like the menu there, it'd be you. You've been there 1,000 times.
Ribeye with prime rib, and again, they're a similar cut, but ribeye and prime rib is a roast.
I've never seen a bone-in prime rib. I think
it's a different
bone-in ribeye. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on in
he's
that
thinking
brain.
ribeye, and he saw prime rib and was trying to be hoity-toity. He's thinking bone-in ribeye is what he's thinking.
So did he leave fuming? I mean, what happened with Dickstein?
Well, I mean, the thing was, he got along well with everybody. The waiter, he's kibitzing around with, Dickstein, he was fine, but I could just tell, like, not his style of place. He's more of those, the Delray, trendy Atlantic Avenue
New York
scene.
Prime, that kind of
he's
thing.
into the kind of the scene, he's that kind
wants
of
the
thing.
show.
So,
He wants the show.
and this wasn't his particular scene. I don't think he'll ever be going back again, and that's fine. That's not
okay.
for everybody.
You don't need him there.
It's
anyway,
not for everybody.
He aggravates
it is
you.
for me. I love it there, and I had my prime rib. I had my special cut filet, medium rare. Came out perfect. I had my cream spinach. Came out perfect. So I was a very happy camper as usual at Lakers. Hey,
Look,
I know we got to go.
Yeah, we got to run. Lunchbox.
You're going to be actually at 11:50. Did you get the memo from Lubie?
No, I did not.
We're starting early today because Lubie needs to do some things.
Oh,
we
he's
got to
gotta
wrap the show by 12:50. So we're going to start at 11:50. I'm going to post a note.
Try and get
on
there a few minutes before usual.
A few minutes early. You're going to be very happy with my restaurant trivia question this week.
Okay, cool. And I'm always happy to see Joe Beige out there because he has done an amazing job of just overwhelming us with good food from the track.
And this week's contest race tomorrow, there's two stakes on the card. We're going to go with the later one, the Captiva Island Stakes, which is just 5.5 furlong. 5 furlongs on the turf, a full field of 10. The other stakes race only has a field of 6 with like a 3 to 5 Bill Mott favorite. I don't want to feel like having one of those 25-way shakes anymore on a Monday. It's too much.
Well, I mean, you trying to steer everybody off of Forte, who won the race as if it didn't even break a sweat, which unfortunately, no. I mean, your logic was very sound, Mike Mayo, and you came up with the right horse to complete the exacta. But when that horse stepped on the track, that was all you needed to know.
He looked gorgeous. Fortunately, I covered my ass by doing a hefty trifecta using Forte over the horse that I like, which is Rocket.
And then it was like a semi-bomb came third, right?
It was the Dale Romans horse who went off as one of the favorites in the Holy Bull, and so I crushed it. I had the try 11 times, so I got back 385. I got back $385 on what seemed like a pretty logical thing, and it got me out for the day. I was in the black. I put a little bit back into my bank account, and then I proceeded to blow it all the next day on trying to chase that mandatory pick 6 payout.
I was up in smoke there too. I was having a pretty good weekend, holding my own, cashing a lot of tickets, not necessarily making big money. And then we went out there. I was going to put 100 into it with two other guys, and 0.0, my friend.
This is what happens. It's like the
Yeah.
same thing on FanDuel. They try to get they get us players, these bit players, with these 16-way parlays.
Don't be
It's the
knocking
same thing.
FanDuel. We're still pending with them.
I mean,
Yeah.
I meant to say,
what a wonderful organization they are, and how great it is to encourage youth into betting.
DraftKings are the absolute worst.
Yeah,
Okay, I
DraftKings.
didn't
What a
realize we
disaster.
had some things in the.
Well, we don't know that that's
No,
happening.
we love FanDuel and we love gambling. It's
We-
just
we-
I'm just saying people chase these wildly impossible, hard to hit bets when they should be just focus on the.
Well, I mean, it's
trifecta
like
and 180.
trifectas. I mean, everybody would say this. This was a book I read, and it was Picking Winners by. No, that was Byron's book. I forget what the name of the book was, but I remember it was by Henry Bombs Away Bombsy, who was, and it was like, winning at the thoroughbreds or something. And this guy was very prominent and was known to be a guy that had great success at the track. And he said the only way to win at the track is to bet substantial amounts of money on horses to win and win only that are 3-1 or better. That's the only way to win at the track. That if you do that and you don't stray and you don't, start to, exponentially ratchet up the luck factor here with exactas, trifectas, and whatever, you probably end up being a winner, but nobody can stick to it.
That's all well and good, but I subscribe to the Eddie Kaplan theory. Bet a little to win a lot.
To win a lot. No,
And
that's a good one
sometimes,
too.
In this case,
yeah.
I invested $25 worth of trifectas into the race,
Beautiful,
and
yeah.
I got back $380 something.
Beautiful
and that's
thing,
not
yeah.
that bad when a 4 to 5 shot is winning.
And those opportunities weren't as plentiful. I mean, the exotics, so to speak. When Henry Bombs Away Bombsy wrote that book that I read in the 50s. All right, Michael, we'll see you before 12 o'clock, 11:50 today on the Lunchbox, live from Gulfstream Park with Mike Lubie Lubitz. And, thanks so much for joining us here, and we'll talk to you then. I would imagine we'll again be imploring people to go to Esposito's as part of the revolution and the anti-wine
He's
seer
got
attack.
these slivers of garlic in the pasta.
Tell you what, it's good.
A Molino in New
That
York.
Fra Diavolo was real nice. I would have spiked it up a little bit. I think he was, just kind of going sort of middle of the road on the spice because he didn't know what our tastes were. But
It actually on the menu wasn't listed as a Fra Diavolo. It was listed as a cartoccio, which is kind of a milder seafood. So we definitely, we could have
could have had
little
him,
more zing.
whack it up a little bit. That would have been nice.
Delicious.
All right, we'll see you before 12 down to Gulfstream Park. Mike Mayo, ladies and gentlemen, chowing down on the show, and we'll be chowing down again later.
Yes.
Good to eat a veal chop for breakfast, I would think. What do you think?
It's not
With
heavy.
a bunch of spaghetti and some Italian sauce.
That guy's stomach is like
the real mozzarella. I mean, not even the fake shit. All right, we got to run. We'll see you at Gulfstream Park, 11:50 on South Florida Live. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time as we leave you on that.
The time.
9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack. Look what they done to my show.